Alright, so what's for lunch today? Well, I'm glad you asked. We are having venison heart. I'm going to show you the way I do it. Now I will say, if this isn't something you've ever done before, when you kill your deer and you keep the heart, you want to make sure before you package it up for freezing, you want to make sure that you get it all cleaned out real good. I mean, you get it under the spigot and keep working your thumb and your fingers down through the holes that are through there, because you'll just keep pulling out chunks of blood, and there's just a lot of blood that's inside there, and it takes a while to get it cleaned out. So you want to try and be very thorough with that, because if there's a lot of that gunk still in there, it's going to give it a nasty flavor. So you want to try and make sure you get that cleaned really well. And if there's a little bit in it, once you get it cut up here, you can clean it off before you throw it in the pan. But I like to try and get as much of that stuff out of there as possible. And then when I'm cutting these up, I try to do it fairly thin. So I'm shooting for like a 1/4 inch thickness on this. My experience cooking it, if you can get it a little thinner like this, it seems to turn out a lot more tender versus like big thick chunks. And this is just one way to deal with a heart. I mean, there's numerous things you can do with it. I have pickled it in the past, and that turns out amazing. Or you can just fry it up with some butter, and that's what we're going to be doing here today for lunch. Try and get that fatty stuff off there as much as possible. And it's only down at the base of the heart where that's really at. Other than that, it's pretty clean meat. Now, when I was younger, honestly, like, this was my favorite part. Like, I loved the heart, and people thought I was crazy. But I just always thought it was like delicious, fried up with some butter. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of lost the love for it, you could say, but it's still good, and I think it's very important to try and eat organ meat, every so often, especially like this, because a lot of people just, they throw this away. Like, a lot of people don't keep the heart. They'll just toss it out along with the liver. But I always keep it, because we'll either eat it like this, or we will eat it by pickling it. And so you end up with these nice little rings like this. And what I like to do then is just cut them in half. And then I prefer when I'm frying up some heart like this to have an onion. Gotta have an onion in there. And so I just wring out an onion like this for when I'm ready. And now the only other thing you need, so you got 2 ingredients here. You got the heart, you got the onion. Now I like to add some garlic, some garlic powder, lots of pepper, a little bit of salt, and then I typically throw in some steak seasoning mix. But honestly, you'd be good with just salt and pepper. But the other ingredient that you gotta have is a good quality butter. And I forgot to bring it over here. And then the only other ingredient that you need is some good quality butter. Today we will be using Kerrygold, which is a good Irish butter. So that's it. We're prepped and ready to go. Let's head to the stove top. Now we have our butter melting on the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and get my seasonings ready. Got some salt and pepper. Onion, garlic powder, and then a little bit of Montreal steak seasoning. All right, here we go. Let's get this bad boy on the heat. Now what I like to do is get this butter nice and hot at first, so I go a little high on the heat right in the beginning, because my intention is to try and sear the meat quickly on both sides. And then I drop it right down, like right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and it's hot enough. I'm gonna go ahead and put it down to low heat. I'm just gonna kind of sear both sides on that high heat here, just briefly, and then I'm going to cook it on low the remainder of the time. You don't want to cook this too fast because it'll end up being a little tough on you. So I just try and do this just to sear both sides of the meat quickly, which it doesn't take long. I mean, you're dealing with thin pieces of meat here, so you don't want to leave it on too long. And then once I have this seared, I will add in the onions. And I know for a lot of people it's like, heart, I don't want to eat heart, that's nasty. But I'm telling you, like, it's essential to get organ meat in you. We should be eating a lot more of it than what we do, but it's essential to get it in you at least every once in a while to try and eat, heart or liver or, whatever it may be. I mean, I actually have a beef tongue out there. because we get half a cow each year, and this past year I ended up getting the tongue off of it, and I have never had tongue. I hear that it's, some people love it, some people will not touch it, but maybe we'll make a little video here eventually doing a beef tongue, and we'll see how that turns out. I don't know, I can't say for sure, but I'm willing to give anything a try at least once. Alright, so now that we got that going on, I'm going to go ahead and get my onions in here. And like I said, I'm just going for some onion rings. And if you don't like onions, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to tell you, even if you don't like them, I would add them just to give it that good additional flavor, and then you can always just kind of pick around them, you know, and not eat them at the end here once it's ready. But then you want to get your seasoning on it. Like I said, I'm down with lots of pepper. For me, everything gets lots of pepper, especially when we're dealing with red meat. So now I have this calmed down. It is now just at a very low heat, the lowest heat that I can get on this stove. And I'm just going to cook it the remainder of the way on that low heat. And I have found if you do it this way, it turns out much more tender. And that's what you want, because I mean, these type of things, just by nature, the texture can kind of be, you know, not tender and a little chewy. But if you do it right, I'm telling you, it'll just melt right in your mouth. So we got some pepper in there, and a little bit of salt. Some onion powder. Bit of that, since we already got some fresh onions in there. Now I like to go a little heavy with the garlic powder. Garlic powder is essential with venison, in my opinion. You can't cook venison without it. You could, but I just prefer not to. And then some of that Montreal steak seasoning. And like I said, it's just a slow cooking game from here. Just get everything kind of mixed in there together. Like I was saying though, you know, we've gotten away from eating organ meat. Whereas, you know, back in the day, I mean, people tried to consume every part of the animal that they possibly could, you know? And now, in today's day and age, we've become a little bit more picky when it comes to things like this. But, you know, these organ meats just have nutrients in them that you cannot get from the regular meat. And so I think it is important to try and, you know, add some of this into your diet at least occasionally. And then there are supplements that they have, you know, if you just can't choke it down and you just can't do it, they do make supplements, you know, like liver and like beef liver, beef heart, you know, just different types of organ supplements that you can take, because we are definitely lacking in some areas of our nutrition, because we no longer incorporate these type of things into our diet that used to be, you know, staples of households back in the day. And so I just think it's important, you know, like we kill these deer every year, And you know, if the heart isn't completely destroyed from the hunt, you know, I always pull the heart and I try to get the liver if it's intact. I am not big on liver personally. That is very much like there's an art to cooking venison liver, in my opinion. I have had it where it was, I wouldn't say delicious, but it was actually good, and my grandmother had a way of making it. I wish that I had that recipe, but I don't. But she had a way of making it that was actually good. I mean, it was good. I would eat it when she would cook it. I've tried making it this same way, and yeah, not as good. But again, it's important, I think, you know, to try and eat this stuff if we can. And when we're taking these animals, I just think it would be such a waste to throw that stuff away. So I always keep it, and I'll give it away. If I don't plan on making it, I'll give it to someone who enjoys, you know, liver and onions, because there are a lot of people out there who do really like it. But it should never, you know, just go to waste, because it's dense with nutrients, and it's just a shame to throw stuff like that away. Same with the fat. Like, I made a video here recently making tallow, because that is also something that a lot of people throw away. And the buck my boy killed was a big mature buck, and it was just covered in a thick layer of fat. And I thought, while I was, you know, quartering up the deer, I thought I should just cut this off and set it aside and try and make tallow out of it instead of just tossing it like we usually do. And so I did that this year, and I made the tallow out of it, and it's a long process, but it's not very much work at all. I mean, you have to do a little bit of cleaning and cutting up, and then once it's on the oven, though, I mean, it's a long process, but that's really where the time's at, is just in the process of cooking it down. And you don't get much out of it, but what you do get out of it is just a super dense, nutrient-packed superfood that just gets thrown away, you know, most of the time, which is a shame. So in the future, I'm gonna try and keep as much as possible off the animal to try and work with. The problem has always been in the past time, not having the time, you know, to deal with stuff like that. But I think it's worth making the time, and then you end up with a good solid product at the end of it that didn't require much more work than what you already had going on, you know, cleaning the deer up. So yeah, I just think it's important to honor these animals that we either raise or hunt, you know, and kill. And it's just, you know, out of respect for the animal, trying to use as much as possible from what you're getting off of it, you know. So, being that I seared this on both sides there briefly in the beginning, it's not going to take too much time to cook this. Now, with these cast iron pans, you got to kind of try and keep it hot. If you go down too low, it might not be transferring the heat properly through the cast iron, so you might have to bump your heat up a little bit. You just don't want to be like cooking it way too fast, and you'll be able to tell if that's the case as you're going. Like here, I just bumped the heat up just a little bit more because I felt like the heat wasn't transferring. Cast iron tends to do better on either straight fire or like a natural gas stove where it's coming in contact with an open flame versus these new electric stove tops. They work, but it's a little bit harder to control the heat, you know, versus like natural gas or a propane type stove with an open flame on it. So you just want to kind of maintain that low heat, making sure that it's still cooking. But I prefer mine, like with the heart, I prefer to make sure that it's cooked thoroughly through. I mean, some people may like it still a little red in the middle. When it comes to the organ meat, I prefer that it's cooked the whole way through. But there is a fine line there of well done and overcooked. Because if you overcook it, then you're getting into that space again where it's going to be a little chewy and, you know, not as enjoyable. So you just want to make sure that you're not overcooking it. But when you're cutting it to this thickness, like a 1/4 inch thick or less, it doesn't take real long to get her done. So I'd say we're getting pretty close here. Give it a few more minutes and we'll see what we got. I really wish you could smell the smell coming off this right now though, because it's amazing. Like the smell of this is just incredible. And it is different. Like the smell is different from just a regular slab of venison. There's something different about it. But it smells delicious. And then, like I said at the beginning, I'm a firm believer that you are what you eat. And so when you're eating something like this, just think about the wild nature of a white-tailed buck and just how just strong and resilient of an animal that they are. And this is its heart. I mean, this is its key organ. I mean, this is the main muscle in his body that provides blood to the rest of his body, and it is, in essence, his life source. And so when you're eating an animal like that, when you're eating its heart, I mean, you can just imagine that energy transfer that's taking place from that meat into your body. And that's something I think that gets a lot of times overlooked. And I do think there is something to that. I mean, you know, our energy obviously comes from our food. I mean, that's our fuel source. And so when you're eating stuff like this, I just think it packs a whole different punch than, you know, other type of meats. So keep that in mind. And maybe that's just a little bit of a nudge you need to give it a try if you haven't yet. But again, regardless, even if you just refuse to eat it, if you're killing a deer, don't throw away the heart and don't throw away the liver. If you can get those out of the animal intact, I'm sure that you will find somebody that would love to have it. I mean, there's so many people that I know that just love organ meat, and so even if you're not going to eat it, you should still pull it from the animal just so it doesn't go to waste. I don't know. I guess as I get older, that's more important to me. When I was a little younger, I didn't think about things the same way. Not that that's right, but it's just a fact. You know, when you're a little younger and not as mature, you know, you just don't, I feel like you just don't respect things fully, you know, in the same way that you will once you have a little bit of years under your belt, and you know, we all know that true knowledge and wisdom can only come with age. So I think that's part of that. And I'm gonna say that this is probably about done. So let's do a little taste test here and see what we got. I was just getting ready to say, I'm shocked that my dogs aren't out here because they surely can smell this. And just as I was thinking that, excuse me, just as I was thinking that, old Samson walks in because he got a whiff of her, buddy, and she does smell good. All right, so let's see what we got here. Get an onion on there. Yeah. That is cooked to perfection right there. So you saw that was only about maybe 10 minutes. High heat at first to get your butter melted. High heat at first. Get it all laid out on there. Sear that first side. Flip it all. Turn your heat down. Sear the second side while it's still hot. Add your onions and then add your seasoning and let it go on low for, you know, about 10 minutes is all it took, and it's absolutely perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get that off the heat. My goodness. Oh. Yeah, see, this one's much better than the last one I made, and I think maybe it's due to, you know, the age of the deer as well. This one, this was a buck that was killed this year, but not the big mature buck. And maybe the one that I ate the last time was a bigger, more mature buck, and so it didn't have the same type of flavor to it. But this is fantastic. So let me cut into a little piece of this to show you what we're looking at here. Look at that. That is cooked to perfection. I mean, it's like the perfect texture. Perfect. It's like perfect. It couldn't be any better, honestly. So yeah. That is deer heart. And now lastly, I'll just put it together on a plate for a nice little presentation, and we'll call it a wrap. there we have it. Just doesn't get much better than that, folks. Eat some organs. Eat some organs.